Okay, let's take a look at how to render basic materials. In this video I'm going to show you how to render two types of plastic and wood right here. Okay, so why do we need two types of plastic? Well, this is what I call a diffuse plastic. Okay, that means that the reflection of it is it's not super shiny. It's a bit like if the ball was covered in, say, velvet or carpet or something like that. Okay, so this could be something like velvet, or what we call a spark finish plastic, which is this plastic which has got a kind of dull finish to it. Okay, so we'll say dull finish in there. Over here we've got a type of rendering which we call specular, which means super shiny, right? And this is hard, shiny plastic, you know, maybe like a snooker ball, something like that. Okay, really shiny stuff going over here, and then in this one we're going to do a simple wood texture. Now, I've drawn these shapes ahead of time using a pen, only because the camera can pick it up a little easier. You may choose to use a pencil instead. That's fine. We're going to be rendering with pencils. So another good reason to use a pen is you can rub out the pencils and your background drawing will stay untouched by it. Now, in terms of our materials and the things we're going to use, this corner is going to be red, these ones are going to be green, and this one's going to be wood coloured. Okay, and for each of these we need a light tone and a middle tone. We're going to be using the 4 tones that we discovered in our shading tutorial earlier. So we've got a light tone and a mid tone. Okay, for the green stuff I've got light and I've got mid, and for the wood, although it's hard to see, I've got light and I've got a mid tone right here. Where does the dark come from? Because we need a whole range of tones, right? Well, we've got super light and super dark still to take care of. We're going to create the dark by using blue. Okay, so the temptation will be that you pick up black or grey, but that inevitably leads to your renders looking dull and muddy. Okay, if we use blue, that does two things. It keeps the vibrancy to the colours, and if these shapes were in real life sitting under a nice blue sky on a clear day, the shadows would be tinged with blue, so it gives a realism to it. Now for the super bright stuff, we've got two choices. We can either leave the paper white, because I'm using white paper underneath, or as you can see, we can use something like this. This is a chalk marker. Now you may not have a chalk marker, and you can use any type of white opaque colouring to do this. So you could use acrylic paint, or what's excellent for this is correction fluid in a pen. So something like Tipp-Ex, if you can get hold of a Tipp-Ex pen or some acrylic poster paint, that would do. I just happen to have this chalk marker right here. Okay, so let's go ahead, move this stuff off to the side and start with our diffuse shapes right here. Now things like dull finish in the plastic and diffuse, we never actually get to full white in here. So when we're applying our tones, and I'm starting with the light tone, when we're applying our tones, I don't know why I drew them this way, but I'm going to start with the box. Okay, so I'm going to put light. Now look how far back I'm holding the pencil. Some people hold it even further back, some people hold it actually a lot flatter than this, but I'm going ahead and I'm putting a really light tone on there. Just like that. Okay, now there's something under my page that's catching. Give me a little dark blue, that's better. Okay, so really light tone goes on first of all. That's our lightest tone. Then we take our second one. Now in all of these cases we're imagining that the light is coming from the top left. Okay, like this. So in all of these cases the light's coming from the top left. So this side's going to get tone 0, the brightest, tone 1, tone 2, or 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter, but we're going for lightest, second lightest, darkest. Lightest up here, second lightest, darkest down here. So I take my mid tone of the colour, and again this is a red colour, and I go ahead and I do, and there's that little thing back again. Go ahead and we render the two sides with a slightly darker tone. It's not really darker, I suppose. It's more just a more saturated colour. But we put on those two sides a darker one. So we've got light. This is medium. and this is going to be dark. And this is the point where we pick up our blue pencil, and we're going to go over this side with blue. Right? Not too hard, we don't want the blue to completely obliterate it, but what you'll see is that by adding the blue, we create the illusion of shade, but also keep the realism as well. And it's quite easy from this point actually. So just put the suggestion of a little shadow going back there as well. Just like that, just a little suggestion of something like this. Okay, and that's how we do dull finishes on plastics. Things, like I said, like carpet, like velvet, like even what would be a dull plastic, like spark finish plastic, things you get in car dashboards, that kind of stuff. Okay, that's how we get this basic. This is your basic value. Let's go ahead and look at the ball beside it. Okay, so the ball gets a similar sort of shading. Instead of us drawing flat faces using discrete tonal values or discontinuous tonal values, this time we have to blend it all in, and everything is concentric about a hot spot, which I'm putting in about here. So I'm drawing circles, bigger and bigger circles like this, tighter and tighter as we get to the hot spot. And once I've got colour in, I can go ahead. I'm just putting my, this is my, if you like, my 0 or my 1 tone. This is the lightest tone I'm putting down. I'm going to take my mid-tone of my red, and if my hot spot is up here, okay, my hot spot's there, I want to blend this round, take this mid-tone all the way down to the bottom of the ball. Meaning harder as I get closer to the back edge of it, and then varying the pressure so that as I get to the hot spot it's becoming just a little bit lighter and blended in. Little light, a little hot spot right there, and it blends into the medium tone, and then we take our blue and we start at the back edge. Okay, and we want to shade this quite dark to start with, but then coming up in a kind of inverted letter C shape, like this. And that's given us our basic rendering from hot, from the light bit all the way around the ball to the dark bit. And again, sometimes it just helps just to put the suggestion of a blue shadow in there. So that's how we do velvet stuff, that's how we do dull plastic finishes. It's not too super shiny. Over here we're going to look at super shiny plastic. Okay, now with super shiny we don't get this kind of soft sheen at the top, we get really quite a hard highlight down there. So for these we're going to use green just to vary things up, and I've got a light and I've got a mid. Okay, and once again I'm going to start with the two boxes here. Now the difference between these two boxes is that one of them I've drawn in the front edges using pen, and then this one I've left it out. I'm going to show you the difference that that makes. Okay, so we can go really quite. So the thing is, when you get super shiny plastics like snooker balls and pool balls and things like that, they become a lot more reflective, so they tend to reflect what's round about them, which means that they get darker a lot quicker. They don't have that soft, almost velvet-like sheen to them. So we can go in really a lot harder than we did with the red version. But it's the same principle when we're using the squares, the boxes here, the light tone there, and then we put our medium tone on the other faces. And again, I'm leaning really quite hard from the outset here, really quite hard. We're getting richer, darker, deeper colours almost immediately. And again, now I haven't drawn the inside lines here, so I'm going to have to try and figure them out. I think they're around there. Just get them in nice and dark. Really saturated colours. And of course we'll take our blue. I'm going to put the blue on this face. Again, leaning quite hard this time. Much bigger contrast range in the super shiny stuff. Okay, so far, so similar to the diffuse shading model that we did a while ago, although we're going a little bit harder on these things. Before I show you the secret of specular rendering, I'm going to go ahead and do the ball. Now, the ball's the same, okay, as the red version. We've got a hot spot around there, it's lightest around there, and then it gets darker as we go towards the back edge. So again, let's put down our lightest tone. And take our medium tone. Try and find that stripe, that waistband, where it gets a little darker. And again, we're leaning, I'm really quite heavily here. These pencils don't really give up a lot of colour that easily, so I'm leaning really quite heavily. Again, let's bring in our blue. Put a real hard, contrasty sort of line. Now, our ball's completely curved, so we have to blend all these in. We can't have any stripes or banding in there, that all has to be blended in. Okay. So, pretty much the same, except for the darkness that we went to and the contrast. So now we pick up a chalk marker. Okay, this is one of these ones you need to shake, or if you've got a white marker or Tipex or something like that, a couple of dabs in the corner just to make sure it's working. And then what I want to do is I want to come in, pop, and give the ball a little hot spot right there. And we need to give the cube a little hot spot where that catches the light. And what also helps is if we go along the top edges a little bit as well. Okay, so try and down the front edges as well. We'll try and put a little bit of reflection in here, and what that's doing, that's almost suggesting where this super shiny material is reflecting the sun from, or reflecting the light. And as you know, in all these examples, we're imagining the sunlight coming from up there. So on this one I'd drawn in the front edges with pen, but in this one I've left them off, and it's purely so, let's get a little bit of fluid out of this again, it's purely so we can get a nice, there's too much come out there. Note to self, don't bounce it around too much. Well, there's way too much that's come out of the pen at that point, that'll be my fault. So, I think now in fairness that one probably looks better than all this ink that's come out here. So I guess once this dries in, we could always go back over it with the dark green pen, and I may do that just to improve on that. I have to be careful. Again, I'm going to put in just a little suggestion of shadow in there. So maybe up there, and also in there. We're using blue, remember, because we're sitting underneath a bright blue sky. And that's how we get super shiny plastic. Let's put that one down. We'll need to fix that one right there. But this is how we get super shiny plastic. We find the hot spot and we dap it in with a really small pinprick of light. So let's talk about wood up here. So we've got a wooden plank, if you like, here, and since we've got kind of browny orange colours right here, you could use yellow and orange, but we take the medium one, and again holding it quite far back, I'm just going ahead and I'm putting the lightest tone across the whole thing. Lightest tone across. Now I'm not paying too much attention about the outside edges. Stylistically, that's what I want. Okay, so there's the lightest tone across the whole thing. Dark tone, or the medium tone I should say, down this face. And also this face as well. Now wood is closer to this type of finish than this. I guess if you had super polished, super oiled woods, you would look at doing some sort of specular highlight on it. Let's go ahead and just darken these sides off, okay, and then we come in with our blue colour and just go over the darkest side to get our darkest shade with blue. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on a little shadow up there, just a suggestion of a bit of shadow there. So when we're doing wood, we're going to take, I'm going to take my pen that I drew it with, and what we do is we pick a point on the end. This is the end grain right here, okay. In fact, we'll take our darkest, there's our darkest medium brown we're using, okay? And you pick a point, it can be on the plank or it can be off the plank. In this case I'm going to add it about there, so I'm going to imagine there's a point about there, okay. And the first thing I'm going to draw is I'm going to draw lines, kind of just sort of jagged lines that kind of reach down the wood as if they're all pointing towards that point, like that. So it's a bit like the rays of the sun, and I'm leaning really quite heavily here, just like that, okay. Now, any time that one of those rays reaches a corner here or a corner here, we have to carry it along the wood like this. A little bit there, that's going to run that side as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add some, from that same point, we've got to imagine little lines radiating out from it, a bit like the Wi-Fi logo, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to draw some of these. Sometimes they pass through the line, and sometimes they go right through, like this, okay. And again, anytime any of these lines touch the top, we're going to take those lines back, like this. Sometimes you can make two lines come down, touch one another, and go back like that. Again, over here, put something. And that is really basic wood. So let's recap on what we did here. We started off with diffuse shading, like dull plastic or velvet or carpet, fabrics, things like that. And we learned how to do 0 or 1, 2 and 3 tones, and we used dark blue to shade the final level. Over here, I wonder if is that dry yet? I don't think that is dry. Not quite. See if I can fix that afterwards. But with it being a chalk marker, I can just go over it like this. Okay. Anyway, over here we were doing what we call specular plastic, super shiny plastic like you get on mobile phone covers or snooker balls. Much more contrast with a really bright white dot in it. Use the same method, either correction fluid or chalk marker, to put white dots along the edges that catch the plastic. Then over here with wood, quite close to this model in that we had lightest, second lightest, darkest, and we used blue down here, and then we used a dark brown pencil to draw lines that emanated from a point out the way like this, and then we used the same pencil to draw kind of concentric lines like the Wi-Fi logo, and any time those lines touched the top edge, we sent them off down the wood. Sometimes they went all the way to the end of the wood, sometimes they can go out and come back, but they must touch lines that are on this side here, and the same as the side.